everyone, and welcome to Open. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche for the next hour, encouraging you to get social with us online. That is, tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV and like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, follow moi on Twitter, FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. So April is Autism Awareness Month, and our first guest is an art historian, a museum educator / teaching artist that has turned to art and upcycling as a safe haven to reconstruct her life as a mother of 2 autistic children. Through her book, Peekaboo, See Me, 35 Lessons in Soul Care for the Special Needs Mom Children, she delves into the personal stories and reminds us that caring for a child with a disability requires showing up for yourself. Here to tell us more, please welcome Nellie Escalante, perdón. Hello and welcome.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
We're so excited to have you.
Me too.
It's so lovely to have you here on air with a smile on your face. I mean, what an introduction. Just saying, you know, not just one child on the spectrum, 2 children on the spectrum. I can't imagine what that must have been for you, especially during these particular times where we are all homebound and sheltering in place. Let's talk about both your children being on the spectrum and the different levels of spectrum in which I guess became an eye-opener and a pivoting motivator for you.
Yeah, so, you know, as I always say, and I've heard this saying, when you have, you know, one child with autism and you know one child with autism, you know one child with autism. And so both my children are very different. You know, my older son is on his way to college. He's a senior in high school, doing so well and has a 90 average. And my other son is more affected by the condition. He's nonverbal. He, you know, is more sensory needy, is very hyper, still wakes up at night. I'm talking with you and he woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning today. So, you know, it's still going on. But they're both my light, you know, and I have learned so much from them, and through them I've learned, you know, very much about myself, and that's really what the book is about.
So one is you said 19 years old and the other one's 14 years old. So you've been in this I guess environment for quite some years, balancing out raising these 2 children and caring for yourself in the process, which is what the book is about. And it's also what your session with Bronx Arts Time, which I didn't mention in your introduction. However, we can talk about it because I think it's important that we shed some light on the fact that there's this other factor in being a mom, a natural born caregiver, right? Because once you become a mom, that's just what it is. And then to have these additional requirements in having to learn for yourself, because you have to be able to learn how to navigate through it, and then differentiating both spectrums and how to handle them both. And so every time I think about it, I'm going, oh my gosh, like, when does she have a moment to just soak in a bath?
Yeah, that's like, you hit it right on the nose. Yeah, it has been quite a journey, and you're right, balancing the 2. You know, I have one child that loves hugs and loves affection, and another child that does not, and having to remember that. And it's been a journey, but what has really been my saving grace has been art, you know, finding that time to create art. And when I can't create because they're around, writing has been such a cathartic for me. And so that you can do on the computer, and you can have them around, and it doesn't require loads of art supplies everywhere. And so I do both, and art has become actually writing has become like my second art language.
That's beautiful. And so basically you're an artist at heart, right? Because from what I understand, you were into painting first, right? And now you exercise upcycling, which I love this image, that rather this piece that's behind you. It looks like an image, but it's to keep calm. I'm an autism mom, and I see you wearing Julia de Burgos in honor of National Poetry Month.
Definitely.
And so I'm assuming these are items you've upcycled.
Definitely. Yeah. So that upcycling has become like a metaphor for, you know, what I've had to do for my life. I've had to, you know, reconstruct my life. I was on my way to becoming the next Latin American curator in my mind. And, you know, I had to take 7 years off from my museum career and pivot, you know, like many of us have had to do, right, during this time, especially as parents are constantly doing that. People with disabilities are constantly having to pivot and change course. And so, yeah, just upcycling, recycling, tearing things apart, putting them back together. That's really been kind of what I do in my art and I do in my life. And printing powerful women also has really helped me when I read stories of Julia de Burgos, Lolita Lebrón, and their resilience and their resistance. It gives me, you know, just that power to move on and, you know,
that sense of hope. And that sense of hope and not feeling, because I'm listening to you and I'm going, well, you know, you thought you in your head you were going to become this Latin, like this famous Latin curator, right? Latin American curator. And, you know, who's to say that you still can't become that? That's number one. However, you've had to pivot based on your circumstances, and yet you've still allowed it to be part of your language in your environment, in your immediate environment. And not only that, you're showing it to them as well. You're teaching them, whether it's being absorbed or not. I like the fact that it's your own form of therapy, which I think is really dope.
Yeah.
Right? I like your language of like tearing it apart and putting it back together and reconstructing that. Right?
Definitely.
I think we're all doing that right now. I think we're all doing that right now here.
Exactly, which is why I published my book. You know, I said I want this pandemic to mean something. And so I've been writing this book for like 9 to 10 years. And I just felt this rush from God just to say to do it now. We're all vulnerable. You know, these stories are very raw and vulnerable. And for a long time, I didn't know if I wanted to publish them. And then I thought, you know what, we're all vulnerable now. This is the time. We've all had to pivot and change course. And so, you know, you talked about having your children, you know, having my children seeing me do this stuff. And that's like the first lesson, like have your children see you enjoy your interests. You know, I think it's a great model when we show our kids that, you know, we love them, but we have other things going on and that are important to us. And they know that. And I think they'll allow us that time.
Right. And so before we go, let's talk about the session that you, I guess, provide viewers with the Bronx Arts Time as well.
Yeah, I had this amazing opportunity to be on Art Time, that's sponsored by Bronx Arts Factory and BronxNet. And so there I talked a little bit about my journey with my kids and this whole idea of upcycling. And then I get to show you what I do. So what I showed was how you can make yourself, you know, a wearable art piece with paint and a little bit of printing and a little bit of reconstruction. So it's a great docu-series and I'm just so excited to be part of it. So,
well, I will say the one that stood out for me the most was seeing you transform boots into a belt. I was like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. But that requires a special kind of scissors, no?
Well, I have like fabric scissors, and the boots, you know, they weren't so thick. They were like leather. My scissors cut through leather. But I love that kind of stuff. It's a challenge, and I'm like, could I do that? Could I make boots, you know, a belt from boots? And I have a special. I'm gonna do something with sneakers next, so I'm so excited to share that in my Instagram soon. So it's just fun, and that level of fun and excitement is that's resistance and resilience, you know, and that makes you a much better parent, let me tell you, because when you're like upset or, you know, you feel limited, then you limit your kids. And my kids, you know, they, especially my older one, he's always interested in like, who are you printing next? And what are you going to do next? And it builds a sense of anticipation for them too. So it's lots of fun. It's lots of fun.
Lovely. And I just want to thank you for bringing it here to our viewers and sharing your joy, because for me right now and having this moment with you, it's been a wonderful example of using joy as a means of resisting.
Thank you. Thank you. That's really what it is. Joy and faith in God and letting him transform you through every situation that you're in. That's really the bottom line. And it's really what I want to share. And that's really my story. So I'm happy to be able to do that through my art, through my book, through my writing, and through my life. I'm so grateful. And I'm grateful for my kids, because I believe that there are a lot of things that I would not probably have not been unearthed in me if it not for them, you know. And maybe it wasn't my trajectory to be a curator, and this is what God has for me. So I'm excited. And I am back in the museum world, so I have, like, you know, balancing it all, and just grateful.
And still finding time for yourself. It's beautiful. And embracing the circumstances. Good for you, Nellie Escalante.
Thank you. Yes.
All right, you guys, once again, for the book Peekaboo, I See Me, 35 Lessons in Self-Soul Care for the Special Needs Mom for Autism, that can be found on Amazon.com. And also, in honor of Autism Awareness Month, the recablecast of Art Time with BX Arts Factory featuring Nellie will air Friday, April 23rd, 11:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. and throughout the weekend on channels Optimum 67, Fios 2133, and live streamed at BronxNet.tv. We do have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll speak to a photographer from the Bronx. Don't go anywhere.